Charlie, my grandmother's quicker than you. What you do stood out there, the lawyer. History of this club, travelling fans, performance like that, it's a fucking disgrace. 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, you're running your fucking balls off and everything. You can't go around doing things like that, son. So there's Pally on top of the bed, stark bollock naked, remote control in one hand, boxer Maltesers on his chest, with his other hand fondling his private parts. Probably the worst sort of tactical team to play in. It was non-expansive and non-offensive. I just said, I'm thinking of putting in a transfer request, and they were like, no, don't do that. To be part of a championship winning team and a World Cup winning team, he was a lovely bloke to be around. Yeah, just a pure gentleman.
Hi, this is Alan Keegan, and of course this is the Man United Legends podcast brought to you by Superstar Speakers, and we're delighted to say that joining us today we have the Manchester United legend, Mr. Lee Sharpe. Lee, welcome.
Thanks, Alan.
So, Lee, when we look at these sort of podcasts and we talk about different journeys that different footballers have made, tell us about your journey in joining Man United, because it's a great story, and I know you've told it many times, but it's really interesting the way it worked and it developed.
Well, it all happened very, very quickly from sort of 16, leaving school. I was at schoolboy at Birmingham City from 15 to 16. Birmingham let me go at 16, saying I had a lot of ability, but I didn't have the aggression to be a top flight player. So my dad nearly chinned the coach at the time in the room when he was telling us, saying, "Isn't that your job to put it in here?" I think Kevin Reeves, he was the guy that used to play for Man City. So I got let go from there, which I suppose I was a little bit disappointed in, but not overly disappointed, because the lads that were there had been there since sort of 12. I didn't get there till I was 15, so I didn't really feel as though I fitted in too much. I then had trials lined up at West Brom, Wolves. I don't think I had one at Villa. And in the meantime, some friends had been to Torquay, went to Torquay on trial, played 3 games in 3 days, got offered a YTS. The Wolves trials were starting on the 1st of July, I think it was, which was when the YTS was starting, so I couldn't go to Wolves. West Brom I'd been to for a quick trial after the 3 days at Torquay and 3 games, so I was absolutely goosed. So they sort of turned me out as a centre forward, funnily enough. Wolves and West Brom are both the centre forwards. So I took the Torquay. Found it really hard being 300 miles away from home. One of my mates from Birmingham that I played with Sunday League was down there with us. He jacked it after about 4 or 5 months because the training was too hard and everyone was throwing up and no one could do anything. Everyone just went home and went to bed every night. And then in the October, they sent me home because they said I was looking a bit homesick. So I went back to my old school to visit my old games teacher. A phone call come through, you need to come back, we need you for the first team on Saturday. So I was sub against Exeter in a local derby in the October. Come on for 25 minutes. Then I think it was a week or so later, came on a sub against Tottenham in the League Cup at White Hart Lane. Was involved in a couple of games, then didn't really see the first team, got put back in the reserves for a couple of months, and then it wasn't until after Christmas started getting the first team again. And we played a game on a Friday night against Hereford. Didn't have a particularly great game, and was lying in my bed in my digs corridor. Someone footsteps down the corridor, jingle jangle of jewellery. I think it's Jimmy Savile. Sort of pap yourself a bit. And she said, I don't know what you've been doing or where you've been, but the manager and club secretary are downstairs, they want to see you. So I'm sort of panicking a little bit, thinking there's something wrong, and I walk in. I said, son, we've just been driven around Torquay for the last hour and a half in the back of a Jaguar with Alex Ferguson and Archie Knox. They're not leaving Torquay till they shake your hand in the morning. They want to take you to Manchester United, and that was pretty much the start of it. And I played in the first team a couple of times after that. Went up for a bit of a sort of sample session for a couple of days, trained with the first team, trained with the reserves, and then started when I was 17.
And so what was it like? You know, you're in your digs, you're there lying in bed, you're doing whatever, and you get the knock on the door, and, you know, Sir Alex and Archie are there. Did you actually go down and meet them there and then, or was it in the morning? How did that bit of it sort of pan out?
Yeah, I had... Because the manager says they want to see you at the ground in the morning. I don't know, it was 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. This is like 2 o'clock in the morning. We just played a night game. I was in bed, and so like, they want to see you at 9 o'clock in the morning. Put a shirt and tie. I'm like, I don't even know whether I have a shirt and tie at 16. So I think I borrowed one of the lads' ties out the digs, and Went up at 9 o'clock. When I met them, and they just said, it was that long ago. I can't remember exactly what they said, but it was along the lines of, we watched last night. You're brave enough. We saw you took a couple of whacks to the head and got beat up a little bit, but you kept carrying on and trying to take the fullback on. You've got good lines. You're tall. You're very skinny, but you'll fill out. We can see you're going to fill out to be an athlete. You're quick. You're strong. We'll put you in the reserves for a couple of years, and we'll see how we go. And we'll look after you. And that was as much as the conversation we had. No talk of money. No talk of length of contract.
Any agent involved? Anything?
No agent.
Wow.
No nothing. So it's just like, right, you're just going up there and that's it. So
Living the dream.
Apparently so.
So you moved to Manchester. And what was that set up like then? Was that Diggs again? And who did you share with? How did that work out?
Yeah, so I ended up in Diggs, virtually across the road from the Cliff training ground in Salford. Brenda, who was a great landlady, lived on her own. She had 2 terraced houses. She lived on one side and all the lads lived on the other. So I think we had 10 or 12 was in there. I'm trying to think who was in there now. We had people like Lee Costa, Sean McCauley, Johnny Rudland, a Swedish guy that was over at the time. And I shared a room with Sean Gota.
Really? Oh, yeah.
So
the goal.
At United for a while, and then obviously went to City and made his name there. It was such an entertaining room, mate. Felt the cold like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
I'd be coming back from away games with the first team at sort of 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And we had what used to be the sort of what would have been a lounge, I suppose, at the front room with 2 single beds. There was a gas fire in there, a bit of a wardrobe, and a telly, and that was about it. And I'd come back at 2 in the morning, sat there with 2 pairs of jogging bottoms, 2 sweat tops, a pair of gloves, gas heater on full. I was shivering, shaking. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's like a sauna in here. But a really good guy to have as a roommate.
Yeah, I did quite a bit of work with Sean in the early days as well when he went to City, and he's a great fella, isn't he?
He's a great character.
Yeah, fantastic.
And because he was obviously from Bermuda, when I first got to United, I used to go home most weekends to see my mum and dad and my cousin and a couple of his mates, and I used to take him home with me.
Did you?
So I used to come and spend time with mum and dad's house. Yeah, he loved it. He was amazing.
He's a great fella. So you're there with United, you're sort of, if you like, with the reserves, etc. and everything else. So what was it like, or how did it come about when you made your debut? What was the conversation like about that? Was it Fergie that brought you in, or was it other people within the club when you were going to start playing for the first team?
Well, we'd obviously done pre-season. It wasn't too long after pre-season. We had a practice game at Littleton Road, the other training ground from the Cliff. And the last 15, 20 minutes, Brian Whitehouse, reserve team coach, said just play left back just the last 20 minutes and just show the manager what you can do. And I always hated playing left back. It was always a bit of an easier position, but I just didn't really enjoy playing left back and defending. But obviously did okay, and that was on maybe the Monday. And I think Man United played a centenary game at Old Trafford against Newcastle on the Wednesday. So I started in that for the first team. We went to extra time, so I ended up playing 2 hours of football in my opening game. I think we won the game in the
as left back.
As a left back,
right?
And then the game on the Saturday was West Ham at home, and so that was. I think we played on the Tuesday or Wednesday the centenary game, and then on the Thursday or Friday, the manager caught me coming in or going out of the dressing rooms at the training ground, and just said, "How you feeling?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I don't even know whether he mentioned that he was. I think he said, "I'm thinking of starting, or you might be getting a game on Saturday. You'll be involved on Saturday," or something vague like that. And I turn up on the Saturday, and he calls the team out, and there's my name on the board. I'm playing against West Ham at Old Trafford on the Saturday.
Wow. Following you down, your mum and dad.
My mum and dad were there.
Right, brilliant.
Because he's obviously said to me, you'll be involved. So I thought I'd be on the bench, but not get on.
So just tell us what it was like then that day. You're playing West Ham, you're at home, Old Trafford. What year was this, Sharpe?
This was 88.
And what's it like in that changing room? Just tell us some of the characters or the players that were sat in that changing room.
Well, at the time you've got, I don't know, I don't think they played because I think they might have been injured, but you had Norman Whiteside and Paul McGrath. You would have had Chris Turner and Jim Leighton, goalkeepers. Gary Walsh would have been knocking around as well. Brian Robson, Gordon Strachan, Jasper Olsen, Sharpe Hughes, Brian McClare, Steve Bruce.
Who took you under the wing? Did anybody take you under the wing and say,
Not particularly, because at the time, I think I I'm guessing they still do it now, but at the cliff at the training ground where there were 3 dressing rooms, you had a first team dressing room, a reserve team dressing room, and a apprentice dressing room.
Right.
And I always got changed in the reserve team dressing room up until I was probably 19.
Oh, wow.
So for 2 years, I only saw the first team on the training pitch. I didn't see him in the dressing room.
And why was that?
It was just something that was always done. I don't think any lads really.
Were you ever at that phase where you had to do any of the boot polish or any of that, or was that been phased out?
No, the lads, the apprentices were doing it, but because I was 17, that's why I didn't go. In sort of January, February, when they came down to Torquay and saw me, I was only 16, and you can't sign professional forms till you're 17. Right. Or back then you couldn't anyway. I don't know if it's different now. So they said, you can't go till you're 17, so you'll be here till the end of the season. So I was at Torquay till the end of that season, obviously, and then at 17 signed pro form. So obviously as a pro, I'm obviously not doing cleaning dressing rooms or cleaning boots or taking kit out or doing any of that.
There's something I can't see you doing anyway, Sharpe.
Do you know what? I was even at Torquay as apprentices. I didn't clean boots. We had 6 second years and 6 first years, and the 6 second years cleaning boots, and the 6 first years did like kit washing and dressing room sweeping, and so I didn't do it. So I've never cleaned a pair of boots, apart from my own.
Yeah. So moving on, you've made your debut. How did you do?
I did all right. We won 2-0. Right. Brian Robson played in midfield, and I just thought, every time I get the ball, I'm going to pass it 10 yards inside to Brian Robson or outside of it to Jasper Olsen.
Yeah.
And that'll be my job done. And I just remember the manager saying, listen, you're playing against Mark Ward today, who won't give you any problems pace-wise, so he won't look in behind you. But he can be a bit nasty in a challenge. He said, so if you're going in for tackles, just be careful. Yeah. And that was as much as he said, really.
Brilliant. And then what about the next game?
The next game, I can't remember what the next game was. I know not long after, I don't know whether it was the next game or I think it might have been a couple of games after we went to White Hart Lane and I played against Tottenham. And I gave a penalty away.
What was that like then when you came in with the gaffer?
He weren't too bad that time. Because I was playing left back and positionally, obviously I wasn't experienced at playing left back, so I got caught out of position a couple of times. I would get caught out with the winger outside me and me watching the ball and then putting the ball inside me and the winger's gone. Yeah. And I've not got both in my vision. Yeah. And it happened at Tottenham. It happened a few times, to be fair. It happened at Tottenham and I ended up chasing, I know it was Paul Stewart. I went chasing back or something. He took a dive, to be fair. I only nudged him. He went down like a sack of sponge, like he'd been shot.
Yeah.
But that it wasn't too bad then. And then Matt Letizia did it to me for Southampton at Old Trafford. And he just he ripped my head off for that one.
Yeah,
because I should have.
Was that the first time?
Well, one of the first times.
Yeah, I've many to come.
I can't remember the first, but I can remember there's a few.
So listen, we're looking at your progress, and we're looking at Lee Sharpe coming in for United. Obviously, the gaffer's been there since '86. He's building up the team, late '80s. We just miss out to Leeds. I mean, what was that like that year?
Yeah, it was devastating. I think we all felt that we were a better team and that we deserved to win it. I think the match pile up, the fixture backlog at the end of the season didn't do us any favours. Obviously, the squads weren't quite as big back then, so I don't think that really helped us. And I think there was a nervousness around the dressing room that came a little bit from the manager and a little bit from the players, and I don't think that helped us either. But then again, in the long run, I think it did help us for future reference. I think the lads were so disappointed to not get over the line, having put so much effort in towards the end. I think it really kicked everybody on for future success.
We've got to talk about Eric. I mean, we'll talk about a few of the lads, but Eric, I mean, we've heard all different descriptions. Was he the final piece for that particular time, the jigsaw, to take it to the next level?
I think you've got to look at the stats and say that he was. I think the team was pretty strong before he got there. I think the mentality had toughened up since losing the league to Leeds. I think we probably would have gone on and won the next league without him. But I think he certainly brought a creativity, an arrogance and an aggression. And I think he was probably the cherry on top of the cake. I think he came into the dressing room as one of the boys straight away. He never caused was never an issue with him in the dressing room. And yeah, I think he added that little touch of class and that little bit of creativity in the final third. Because a lot of the teams used to come to Old Trafford, as they still do, and just camp and park the bus on the edge of the box.
Yeah.
And we needed someone that could do something a little bit different and unlock these tight defences, and he certainly did that.
Yeah. We've got to talk about Palace, haven't we? Crystal Palace, you know. I mean, you tell the story brilliant. Just give us the bigger overview of that particular night and, you know, what was it like to be in the heart of it all?
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to understand the conditions. It was blowing an absolute gale force wind from one end of the pitch to the other. The pitch was bone hard and bobbly. So it wasn't conducive to a nice game of football. It was always going to be a bit of kick and rush, and the ball's bouncing all over the place, and there's some nasty tackles going in the day when you could still get away with a decent tackle. And Eric's getting bullied all first half, and you know, he goes for the ball. He's getting smashed into the back of when he's trying to hold it up. He's getting elbows across his jaw when he's going for headers. He's getting 2-footed. And a lot of people don't realise he's getting very frustrated within half an hour of the game. In the last 10 or 15 minutes of the first half, he's trying to go in 2-footed. He's leading elbows with his headers with his elbow, and he's trying to get people back. And we can see he's getting a little bit hot under the collar. And a couple of the senior boys pulled the manager at half time and said, "Listen, Gaffer, you might want to think about bringing the Frenchman off, because we seriously think he's going to hurt somebody." And he says, "Oh no, I've just pulled him in the tunnel. I've told him to take a deep breath and count to 10 to calm down. We need him out there to win us the second half. And he's promised me he's going to do something special." So like, oh, all right, okay, well, we'll see what happens then. So sort of 10, 15 minutes into the second half, keeper kicks the ball out, catches on one of these gusts of wind. Eric turns around to chase it. Centre halves all over him like a rash. He loses his temper, turns around, volleys the centre half straight up the backside, 3 yards from the ref. Ref has no option, straight to his top pocket, red card, you're off. Yeah. We're on the pitch thinking, geez, this is a dogfight as it is. We're down to 10 men, we've got a game in our hands. The game continues. 20, 30 seconds later, we had a big cheer. We look over and there's Eric flying across the bollard, across the fence, kung fu kicking this guy in the chest. He then gets up off the floor, like left uppercuts him, right hooks him, guys picking up teeth and flying all over the place. We're thinking, oh my God, Eric's going to kill someone. But we're also thinking the manager can't have a go at us now for a poor sort of performance. So we get the final whistle goes, and usually it's like a bit of a clap to the fans, all this, and I think it was Keane, he whistled everyone, "Come on lads, let's get in the dressing room, this is going to be hilarious." So get in there and all the lads...
It was 1-1, wasn't it?
It was 1-1, yeah, finished 1-1, which is not a great result for us. 10 men, Crystal Palace away in tough conditions. You would say it's not a bad result, but it's not ideal. We look to win everywhere we go, and so we're on... Keane's like, put the towels over your clothes, make sure your clothes stay dry, and keep your head down, don't make eye contact. He's going to go ballistic. It's going to be funny. Watch and learn. So we're all sat in the dressing room nudging each other like school kids, and he comes in, the manager, absolutely raging. Scarlet face, bits of froth in the corner of his mouth, white knuckles are on. Medical bench in the middle of the room, balls and shirts to be signed, pots of tea and coffee and plates of sandwiches, hats fucking off the turn and flying everywhere. We're getting scolded. Fucking egg cress sandwiches down fucking clothes. We're like, oh my God, he's going to kill you. What's this? This is going to be hilarious. And then he starts, "Pallister, you can't tackle Coley. You can't trap a bag of cement. You've not passed a red shirt all day. Keeney, you've not laid a glove on anybody. Sharpe, my grandmother's quicker than you. What the fuck you do stood out there? The lawyer. History of this club, travelling fans, performance like that. It's a fucking disgrace. 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, you're in one of your fucking balls up. And Eric, you can't go around doing things like that, son." And the place just, you could hear a pin drop, and we all just went, has that just really happened?
Yeah.
We've just been absolutely caned, and he's nearly killed someone, and you said nothing. And that was just the nature of the beast. That was just how it was.
I think you've said it a few times, though. The gaffer did treat him a little bit special.
Oh, a little bit.
Know? Yeah.
A little bit. No, he was the golden child. But it was, I mean, certainly from my perspective, I was still a young lad in a man's dressing room. Whether there was any animosity, jealousy, or bitterness from some of the senior pros, I never saw it. I never felt it. I think they all knew that he was a little bit special and he was treated differently. I don't think there was ever any animosity towards him. He was never treated any differently by any of the players. Like I said, he was one of the boys. The lads loved him. He loved the lads, and we all sort of understood that that's the way the manager wanted to treat him and get the best out of him. And if he was going to score winners and create performances like he did, then fair play.
Was it true that he used to join you all? If you had a sort of team day out at Paddy Creran's pub, was that true? I mean, I've heard that.
Well, I don't think I've ever been to Paddy Creran's pub for a team meet. I think some of the senior boys have, but when we used to go out as a squad, it was always straight into Manchester Town Centre, I think. So, but yeah, he loved it. I think he joined did he join November time?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
I think come November time, so it wasn't long before Christmas, and I think we went out on our Christmas do, probably start of December maybe. It was only a few weeks after he'd been there, and he absolutely loved it. I think he came into training, I think we went out on the Tuesday, we had Wednesday off, he came in on the Thursday, and we're right, when we're doing that again. he was ready for it. He was one of the boys, loved it. So yeah, no complaints there.
And I know when we spoke before, just keeping with the theme of Eric, you tell a story as well about when you all had you won the league and you went to the town hall?
Yeah, that was, so every year, I don't know whether we did it when we didn't win anything, although I don't know whether I was there that long when I didn't win anything the first season, but yeah, usually when we won something, next pre-season we would go to the town hall with all the local mayors and Lord Mayor, and there'd be a couple of players on each table and all the dignitaries from around Manchester to just celebrate what we'd won. And it was always suit, shirt, tie, all smart affair. And I turned up fresh off my holidays. I mean, it was 100 degrees outside, unlike Manchester.
Yeah.
But it was boiling hot, and I turned up in this silk suit with a shirt tie combo that was Gary, to say the least. And manager comes and makes a beeline as soon as I walk in. What the fuck are you wearing? I said, what? He said, look at the lads. Green suit, black suit, blue suit. Look at you. Fucking green suit. I said, well, the ticket said shirt, tie, suit. Shirt, tie, suit. So if it had said black, blue or grey, I'd have worn black, blue or grey, but it didn't.
Yeah.
So as he's having a go, and he's like right in my face, he's got the red face on again, and the frothy mouth and the white knuckles, and I'm thinking he's going to hit me. And just then, it's like a saloon door, like springs open, and the music from The Good, the Bad, and he walks in, Eric. He's got this black suit on with a white shirt with no tie, pair of red Nike trainers and a baseball cap. And I went, if you're going to have a go at me, you're going to have a go at him. And he just went, ah! And just whooped off. I was like, I can't win.
And he could carry it.
Well, Eric looked cool, didn't he?
Yeah. When you look at footballers and your own sort of career, who is it that you admired? Who was the sort of, the idol that Lee Sharpe had when you looked at styles of football? Who stood out for you?
Well, as a kid, I was a Villa fan. So the 80-81 league winners and European Cup winners were my team, really. So Gary Shaw, Tony Morley, left winger, Gordon Cairns in midfield. They were sort of my three favourite players at Villa. Glenn Hoddle I used to love when he was at Tottenham. And as I got a little bit older, I used to love John Barnes and Chris Waddle as wingers. Yeah. So they were sort of my heroes and then I ended up playing with them too for England.
Yeah. And when you look at some of the wingers that we've had at United as well, I mean, the list is endless, isn't it? I mean, I suppose if you look at Kanchelskis, we look at that period, and then you look at, Becks and Ronaldo, and we'll talk about Giggsy in a minute, but, I mean, it's just brilliant, wasn't it, that conveyor belt of wingers at Old Trafford.
I think it's always, they've always had them, they've always been renowned for wingers, you go back, I can't go back far enough, but you look at sort of Stevie Coppell and Gordon Hill. You then got Jasper Olsen, Gordon Strachan. They've always had entertaining wingers that are prepared to run at people, take people on. I've always said that the best time of my playing days were always, you're either chasing the game or chasing a winner or chasing an equaliser at Old Trafford, kicking into the Stretford end. The other team have had a bit of a break and a bit of a goal attack, and the keeper's got it thrown out to me, and you've got this space to run into against a winger and a centre half, and the roar of the crowd just goes up, and you're thinking, I'm having this. This is what I'm here for.
Yeah.
And that was the highlight of my career, just running at people and getting crosses in. I absolutely loved it. It was an unbelievable place to do it.
And what was it like, your first goal at Old Trafford? Can you remember it? What was the feeling like, the emotion, like you say, the fans?
Yeah, it was Millwall at home in front of the Stretford end. I think we won 5-1. I think I scored the third or fourth goal. I can't remember. So it was a bit. it wasn't that needed. We'd already sort of won the game, if you like. But I don't know how I ended up there. But from left wing, I've ended up sort of like just inside right position, just on the corner of the box, edge of the box, a corner of the D, sorry, on the edge of the box, and it's just popped to me, and I've just hit it with my right foot, and it's gone in the bottom corner. I've tried to be cool and slide in front of the Stretford end, and it was a bit dry, and my knee dug in, and I nearly ended up flat on my face.
We'll have to look at the video.
So, I'm not sure about that anymore. I might try something different.
Yeah, so talking of something different, when did the Sharpe shuffle come into it then? When did that start getting developed? Was that something on the training ground?
No, that was just... I scored the hat-trick at Highbury on the Tuesday night, and the pitch was like a carpet, and it was nice and greasy, so it was sliding. I think I did a couple of slides on my knees for a couple, and then a forward roll for one of them. And then on the Saturday straight after, we went to Everton, and Goodison pitch was not the best. It was a bit of farmer's field. It was bobbly and dry, and I was just warming up with Incy saying, I'm not going to have to slide on my knees tonight. He went, well, you have to think of something different then.
Yeah.
I went, oh yeah, I will actually. And it was a horrible game, and they were never the most slickest of games at Goodison.
Dogs Awards, Joe Royal and all that.
Yeah, it was. They were always tough, and it just sort of it came from a ricochet. I think Sparky was trying to throw a dummy and get a shot off, and it sort of ricocheted across to me, and I just side-footed in the bottom corner, and it was right in front of our fans, and we found out our fans have gone mental, and I've sort of lost the plot a bit.
Yeah.
And I've done this stupid dance, and that was the sort of start of it.
Yeah. And is it true that Fergie put a stop to it? Was that
well?
true?
Yeah,
True?
he sort of tried to. Yeah, we had our differences about the celebrations. He came straight on the bus. He saw it on video in their manager's office straight after the game. Come straight on the bus and absolutely ripped me a new backside, basically in front of everybody on the bus, and said, "Stop that carry on after you scored." And then at the time, I was sort of thought, right, okay, I better stop it. And then after I thought about it over the weekend, I thought, I think he's a bit harsh, really. I scored a hat-trick at Ivory on Tuesday. I scored the winner at Goodison on Saturday.
Yeah.
Maybe he would have been better off pulling me in on Monday.
Yeah.
And saying, listen, let's have a chat about what you're doing after you score.
Yeah.
But instead he decided just to rollick me, and I sort of thought, you know what? I'm not going to get to score that many on this stage for this club. I'm going to enjoy
every moment,
the 20 or 30 seconds that I get with every fan in here.
And you did,
and I did that. So he was never best pleased about it, but the fans loved it. It was a bit of a thing that I had going with the fans, and so we carried it on.
2 questions regarding Lee Sharpe. If you'd never been a footballer, what career do you think you'd have ended up in?
Well, I went to an options meeting at school where they have all different sort of things, and I was going to join the military. I was going to join the army.
Right.
I didn't do any exams. I was never interested in academic studies. I was going to join the army. I got told that the transport corps, if you join the transport corps, I was going to learn how to drive a truck, join the army, and just play every sport I could in the army. And I got told that if you were a sportsman in the army, then you never really go to war. You just play sport and compete against. You compete at a decent standard as well. So I thought fit, discipline, competitive. I'll do that.
And if it hadn't been football, was there any other sport that you enjoyed?
No, not really. Not to the extent of football. No. I didn't start playing golf until I was 17. I got to United. Tennis I'd had a little dabble with at school, but weren't really that good and weren't really that interested. Cricket, I played a little bit of cricket at school, but the ball was too hard. Rugby, I had no interest whatsoever. That was far too aggressive. So no, it was always going to be football.
Talking of golf, we're going to bring that up later, but we'll slide into that now. So where's Lee Sharpe in the world of golf at the moment? Because you live in Spain at the moment, don't you?
I do.
And is that to do with the golf and the environment and the weather and playing the beautiful game in the good weather? Or how's that working for you? Well,
the move to Spain was a bit of everything, really. It was a bit of I think I suffer with a bit of SAD in the winter, seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah.
I do get a little bit down and despondent in the winter times when it's cold and dark, and nobody wants to go out. So that was one. I've got 2 young kids, and I just thought an outdoor lifestyle and them to be able to pick up a second language would be an asset to them. And then COVID came and lockdowns came, and I just thought if I'm going to get locked down, I'd rather get locked down in the sun. So it was by accident that we sort of went over there, really. We decided on a whim to stay. Obviously, Brexit was coming, so we had to make a decision to stay full-time or not, because we couldn't to and fro and keep the kids in either school in either country. So we just up sticks, sold the house and made a go of it. And it's 25 degrees over there now, and it's like 12 degrees here, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was golfing yesterday in shorts and t-shirt.
You're lucky,
and not out some mud on my shoes when I walked off. So it's...
And the golf, how's that going?
Yeah, the golf.
You were looking at it, was it going pro? I know you were telling me about the point system and you've got to certain levels, and how does that work?
It's a tricky thing because in England, off a low handicap, you can sort of turn pro as a playing pro just by entering a pro tournament, basically. There's not a lot else to it. Whereas in Spain, you have to do sort of a playing exam, you have to play in a tournament, shoot certain two tournaments and shoot certain scores, and then do a little bit of a PGA exam, so that you can become a player, a pro player. Typical of Spain, they do like to move the goalposts over there. So I've done the scores twice, and then when I've come off, they've said, "Oh no, it doesn't count because of this criteria or this criteria." So we've now got to keep chasing that. There's a 2-day tournament next month that I'm hoping to play in and hopefully achieve that. But for me, it's not. There's not really a race to turn pro and a race to sort of get on the European tour. It's more of a it's a lifestyle thing. I love hitting balls. I love practicing. I love trying to get my handicap as low as I can. I'm off. I think it's 0.6 or 0.8 now. So I'd love to get down to +3, +4.
Yeah.
And just be able to compete with good players on any given day and compete with any good course. So it's just a lifestyle for me, really.
And what about your teammates? Talking about United teammates, who were the good golfers when you were at the club? Were any of them standout golfers?
I used to play quite a bit with Pally. He was always a 16, 80 handicapper. Always complaining about his back.
Yeah,
always
still
moaning. Never liked to walk. Always in a buggy. And now I've played a bit with Maisie, who's good. I think Maisie's off like 4 or 5. Scholes is decent. He's off about 6, I think.
Lee Martin's
really good. I think he's off about 4 or 5, is he? Yeah. Lovely hands around the greens and putting. Snar's really good player. Clayton's off scratches, turned pro, trying to get on the seniors tour.
Has he really?
Yeah. Sparky's decent. Dennis is decent, off 13. Giggs, I think he's not bad. I think Michael Carrick's a decent player. Yeah. So there's a few. It's Marmite golf with footballers. They either love it and get absolutely obsessed, or they just never take to it.
Yeah. Scholesy never take to it.
Scholesy loves it. Scholesy off about 6, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Scholesy's got the bug.
Yeah.
Although I think Scholes I've never played with Scholes. I've played in the same tournament, but not in the same 4-ball. And I believe Scholes is a fast player and doesn't like to wait. So you'll be on the tee and he'll be up waiting to hit his second shot before you even teed off.
Nothing's changed there with Scholes, has it? So coming back to United with you and, all this success, you're a young lad. And obviously, the way it looks from anybody on the outside, you strike up a really good friendship with Ryan Giggs. So was that a natural sort of transformation with your friendship? How did that all come about?
Yeah, it was pretty natural, to be fair. I mean, I think although he played in my position, there was never any fallouts or anything about us both being left wingers. I think it was always, we'll just leave that to the manager and we'll not fall out with each other. And I think because when Giggs got into the team as a 17-year-old kid, I was only 19, and at 19. There were a few of the other lads that were in the team, like Lee Martin, Russell Bearsmore at the time, Daniel Graham and Willow and people like that. And they were a few years older than me, and then they sort of started fizzle out of the team and get sold and move on. So in a team full of, I'm going to say, sort of mid to late 20-year-olds and early 30-year-olds, as a 19-year-old, they were all married with kids, I wasn't. So when Giggs had come into the team and we were on the sort of same time schedule, if you like, it was just natural for us to knock around, and it was just a natural friendship. He was still living at home at 17. I'd just got my own house again after the manager kicked me out the first one, and then I got into the second one. So him and his mates, he had like 4 or 5 half a dozen mates that he used to knock around with. So they were always around the house, and it was a bit of freedom from them, I think, to get away from their parents. And and so obviously a bit of company for me.
You've led me very nice into it there with the house story.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just a bell to that one. But tell us from the beginning to the end. I mean, is it true Sir Alex called?
Yeah, he did, yeah. So yeah, again, Giggs's idea. It was always Giggs's idea. The manager, because I'm older than Giggsy, the manager always thought it was my idea, and it very rarely was, if I'm honest.
He just had influence.
Giggsy rings me up and says, "Oh, I fancy going out for a couple of pints tonight." And I'm like, "Oh, well, it's close to the game on Sunday." He's like, "Yeah, but it's a Thursday night. We're not 48 hours before a game." And I was like, "All right, we'll just go out for a couple of hours. We won't go mad." So Giggsy comes round with half a dozen of his mates. About half a dozen of the apprentices come round. I won't mention names because I'm sure they'll think they'll still get into trouble for it.
Yeah.
And then 3 girls who I'd never met before, some of Giggs's pals, friends came in. They were supposed to drop them off and leave. They ended up coming in and sitting on the sofa, which makes it look even more like a party. But we were getting ready to go out. We weren't having a party. It wasn't.
Yeah.
And I'm putting the final touches to my barney upstairs, and doorbell goes. I'm thinking it's a taxi. Take the lads out. And one of the lads comes running upstairs in a panic. You'll never guess who's downstairs. It's the fucking manager. I went, no. I said, it'll be a taxi driver that looks like him. I know who you mean. I said, I've thought it myself. He said, no, it is. It's the manager. He said, he's downstairs. So I'm like, oh, you joke. So I look over the stairs, and the manager's halfway up the stairs with the scarlet face on again, and the frothy bits around his mouth, and the white nose looks sharp. Get your ass down these stairs. Get in that living room with that Giggs. Get every one of these fuckers out this house. And I can see people diving under beds, diving out of windows, diving into wardrobes. There's people like running out of doors. It's like Carry On film. And I come down the stairs, and the manager's clipping everyone around the head as they walk out. Go on, get out, and booting them up the backside. He then sits me and Giggsy down and gives us the bollocking of a lifetime. I mean, he must have been there for like 5 or 10 minutes, toing and throwing. He was like over to me and in my face, then over to Giggsy in his face, then over to me, then over to Giggsy. You're finished, you're done, you can't do this, you can't do that. You're letting your family down, you're letting your parents down, letting your teammates down there, you're not bothered, We're both like nearly in tears. And then he's looking, Alice has his bollock, and he's looking through the dining room. In the dining room, I've got this big set of sparkly drums, not a dining room set. And I think I've got a disco ball, and I've got all sorts of flashing lights in there. Ding. Yeah. And you're finished, and you're wondering, what the fucking holiday? I got every drum. Fucking drums. I'll give you drums. So that was probably the worst night of my life, to be fair. Me and Giggs had to go in the next morning and get another bollocking. And
oh my God, I take it you didn't go out.
No. So,
oh, wow.
He ruined that night, didn't he?
Yeah, well, that's it, yeah. Everyone's gone, haven't they? And I know we spoke before, you talk about your great friendship with Giggsy and how good a mates you were. I don't know if it was the beginning of the season, or whatever, a weekend, but you decided to go out and buy a couple of cars.
Yeah, that was Giggs' idea as well.
Yeah.
Funny, isn't it? For all these years, it is his fault.
We'll give Giggsy the right to reply to it.
Yeah, I think we should, yeah. No, he's a great lad, Giggsy. He said, oh, we've been in the team a couple of years now, where we should go out and buy ourselves a new set of wheels each.
Didn't you have a company car, though?
We had club cars.
What were they? Ford Orion?
No, because at the time, the club was sponsored or had a partnership with Volkswagen and Audi.
Right.
So I think the terms were that you got 20 grand in your contract to spend on a Volkswagen or an Audi.
Right.
So I think at the time I'd been given a Golf. It was a Golf V32 or something, like a souped up Golf, and I'd given that to my mum and dad because my mum and dad were up and down. Because my brother at the time was at Man City as a young lad, as an apprentice. So my mum and dad were always to and fro up the motorway. So I gave that car to mum and dad, and I bought myself one. But at the time, I was actually driving that, and then Giggsy had not been given as good a one because he was only 17. I think the insurance was too much, and so he hadn't been given one the same as everybody else. So he's like, oh, we need to go and buy ourselves a new set of wheels. All the lads are taking the mickey out. I was in the car park. I was like, yeah, well, let's go. So we walked straight into a Vitara Jeep shop, buy these 2 flashy Jeeps. I mean, if you can get flashy Vitara Jeeps.
At the time you could.
Oh yeah, well, convertibles, fat wide boy kit on, big bull bar at the front and spotlights, and so I buy like a nice understated charcoal grey one. Kingsley buys a white hairdresser's flashy thing with all sorts of things dangling and hanging off it. And I turn up to training the next day, and the manager sees me and he said, "What the fuck are you driving?"
Is this where you've got the Alice band in?
Oh, I've got the long hair and I've just come off my holidays again.
The music,
music's blasting. And
is this at the cliff?
Yeah, this is at the cliff. So it's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I was like, "Gaffer," I said, "Seriously?" I said, "Can I do nothing right?" I said, like, it does 0 to 60 in 3 days, downhill with a tailwind. I said, "If I crash, look at the bars on the front." I said, it's gonna knock trees over. Never mind, put a dent in it. I said, it's so slow, it's so safe. It's like, yeah, but why'd you have to buy it? I was like, I'm thinking, come on, Giggsy, turn that corner in your hairdresser's flashy Jeep and show the manager that it's not just me that's getting carried away. Yeah. He turns the corner, his Escort Popular Plus club car. I thought, oh, you little shitbag. Yeah, it's absolutely done me a kip. He's like, look. He doesn't do fucking stupid things like you, does he? No, he doesn't. No, that's right.
Good old Giggsy.
Rather than say he's got one at home, I thought, no, I'll just leave it.
Yeah, you'll leave it. You didn't grass him up.
No, I'm not grass.
No. We're looking at some of your mates with United, and we're looking at some of the characters. You know, we've talked about Eric, you know, Giggsy, your great friendship. And we look at captains, and, you know, we know the respect you've got for Robbo. You said before you were keeping it simple. You played it to Robbo and you knew it was safe. Keno, you were good mates with him, weren't you, as well?
Yeah, I spent a bit of time with Keeney. Keeney's the same age as me. Obviously came from Forest, knew nobody at the club, knew nobody around Manchester. And it took me a while, to be fair. It took a good few weeks or maybe even a couple of months for me to really realise that he would be on his own, because I actually quite like going home on my own. Well, I'd go to the golf driving range. I didn't mind going home on my own, and then I think at some point he made some comment about someone doing something for him or helping him out. I thought, oh, right, I'll go round. So I went round and seen him, and that was it. We just struck up this friendship, and we just got on like a house on fire. And now, to all intents and purposes, Keeney would not be, or I would not be, the sort of character that Keeney would really warm to, you would think.
Yeah.
Because he's so aggressive and he wants to win and he goes to war in games. And I just can't do that. I have to try and relax myself, and I have to go out with a bit of a smile on my face and feel as I can see everything and not be too regimented and too strict. And but no, we got on like a house on fire. He's one of the, I mean, we're seeing now on Sky, he's one of the funniest men out there. But he's a kill or be killed character. But he's dead straight, tells the truth. He'll give you his opinion, whether you like it or not. And I just have a lot of love for him. I think he's an amazing bloke, an amazing player, and he's an unbelievable captain.
Yeah, and as you say, he's so funny on the telly now.
He's superb. I mean, he can kill people in a word or in a sentence. And in the dressing room, he was brutal. But I don't think I've ever laughed in a dressing room with one player as much as I have with Keeney.
I love the one where they were on telly. You probably saw the clip where they do the best of Keno, and he's having a go at Gary Neville. And he said, you know, Gary Neville makes a comment about, like, you know, I never got changed from left back or anything like that. And Keno goes, you were the only left back at the club.
Right back, right back.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. He just absolutely put it
I never got rested. You were the only right back.
That's the club, yeah.
Yeah.
He's just unbelievable.
But he was like that. He was so quick-witted and so sharp. Yeah, he was brilliant. Yeah. Great guy.
So you're having this success at United. What were the signs, or was it through injuries? When did you know it was sort of coming to an end at United? Like, was it with yourself, or was it through the gaffer, or what was the sort of turning point for you?
I suppose it was gradual, really. I think the sort of the bollockins and the just the amount of hair dryers I was getting, and the fact that he would have a go at me about anything. He would have a go at me about what clothes I wore, what friends I had, what car I drove, what haircut I had. He was constantly on to me, and in the end, I just think I'd just had enough. I think I was in and out of the team probably the last season and a half, maybe even 2 seasons in and out of the team. I'd play different positions and then get left out of the team because someone else was coming back from suspension or injury, and no matter how well I'd played, I'd still get left out. I think the final straw was probably The last year, 96, when I played centre midfield on, I think it was the Wednesday at home at Old Trafford, and played well. And then we went to Middlesbrough. I think we needed a draw if the team behind us had won, I think. But if they lost, I think we could lose. I can't remember exactly how the points tally was working out. And then we got to Middlesbrough, and he pulled me to one side and said, listen, I'm going to bring Nicky Butt back, because he's just come back from injury or suspension. He said, they've got Janino, and Nicky Butt's a little bit more defence-minded. You know, we really need to not lose this game. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. I was totally fine with that.
Yeah, he's explained to you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Listen, you know, I've played centre midfield not that many times, but I'd played well, but I wasn't, you know, it wasn't a major deal. And then we get into the dressing room, and at the time there's only 3 subs, not like a full squad like there is now. So generally one is a goalkeeper, and then 2 outfield players. I think Brian McClare was the other sub. There was a goalkeeper sub, and I was expecting my kit to be there, and Kiddo was sat where I should have been sitting on the subs corner sort of thing, and it was Bruce's kit. And I said, Kiddo, am I not sub? He went, yeah, I think so. He said, you should be, so let me just go and check. So that's what I'm going to put down. And he came over, he went, oh, no, you're not. He said, he's put Brucey sub. Well, Brucey had got a snapped hamstring and couldn't play, but he'd only put him in a kit to pick the trophy up.
Right.
Which I just thought, you know, after playing well and not even getting on the bench was just the nail in the coffin of how I'd been feeling. And I think that was, he sort of carried on a bit then, because after that he pulled me in. We had the FA Cup the week after against Liverpool when Eric scored.
Spice Boys.
Was that the Spice Boys one? It was, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
Yeah. Eric's volley.
That's right. Yeah. Horrible game.
Yeah.
But
It was the double again.
An unbelievable goal, though.
Yeah.
An unbelievable goal. So he pulls me in on the Wednesday or Thursday before that. I could see you were disappointed the weekend. I went, oh, disappointed is an understatement. He went, well, just to let you know, I'm putting you on the bench on Saturday for the FA Cup final. When you can do what you like. I said, it's done now, you've done me. He went, I'm leaving my captain out for you. When you're not leaving your captain out. I said, your captain's got a snapped hamstring. He said, he can't play. You can't have him on the bench in a cup final. He said, you shouldn't have had him on the bench last week. I said, but do whatever you've got to do. I said, what's done is done now. He went, well, I'm leaving my captain. Well, I'll do what you got to do. And I just sort of walked out, and that was a sort of final nail.
Right. And did you have an agent at this time? When did any agents come involved then when it was time to move on from United to Leeds or whatever? How did that come about?
No, I sort of spent the summer mulling it over and what was going to happen, chatting to family and friends and stuff. And then I got
Must
back.
have been hard for you, Sharpe.
Oh, it was horrendous. It was horrendous because I love the club, I love the fans, I love the players. It was just the manager. And then I went in and had a chat with a couple of, Pally and Keeney mainly, were the lads I knocked around with. I just said, I'm thinking of putting in a transfer request, and they were like, no, don't do that. And Keeney was like, well, if you definitely want to do something, don't put in a transfer request. He went, just, here's my solicitor's number, give him a ring and he'll do everything. You'll never have to, you won't see a penny get for, you won't have to pay him. He'll take his money from the club. He only takes solicitor's fees. He doesn't take huge bungs. He's dead honest, and he's really good. So I spoke to
Michael Kennedy.
Yeah. And he got the ball rolling, and the rest is sort of history.
Right. And so going from United to Leeds, you knew the rivalry. I mean, how did you feel about that? Was that something that you were aware of, or did you just think it's a fresh start, I've got to sort myself out and get rid of? Because, Leeds were still a big club.
Yeah, it was a tough decision to leave, and then an even tougher decision as to where to go. Was
anyone else in for you?
Well, it was a bit weird because I'd not played regularly, and I was becoming a bit of a utility player. I was playing right wing, left back, centre midfield. I was playing all over the place, and I'd not played regular. So I thought the manager would have done me a favour and put a half decent price on my head.
Yeah.
So it would have encouraged a few other teams to come and get me. And in the end, he put 5 million, which I was expecting sort of 2.5, 3.
Yeah.
3.5 at the most. And when he put 5 on my head, it sort of scuppered a few speaking to Michael Kennedy, said there were a couple of Spanish teams interested, but at 5 million it was too much. Arsenal were interested because David Platt, I'd played with England. I'd spoke to David Platt and he'd had a word with Bruce Rioch down at Arsenal, but they weren't giving any money to Bruce Rioch at the time, so they couldn't buy me at that time. And then Howard Wilkinson had been given a big pot of cash because he was strengthening after Leeds had just been beaten in the cup final the season before by Villa. So he was, when I went to see Howard, he was just saying all the right things, really. He just said he's rebuilding. He'd brought Ian Rush in from Liverpool to play 12, 15 games a season and bring a bit of the Liverpool coaching ethics into the club, the pass and move. And Howard was looking to change his ways. He'd brought in Lee Bowyer from Charlton, who was aggressive box-to-box midfielder. Nigel Martin had come from Crystal Palace. So there was the makings of a really good side there. And I would say, I just need to come on the left, take people on and get crosses in. And I was like, well, that's exactly what I want to do. So I know it might take me a bit of time to maybe win the fans over because of where I'm coming from. But
how was your time there out in Leeds?
It was not great, to be fair. I mean, Howard signed me, and then after a month got sacked, right, which was a real kick in the nuts, to be fair. Because after a couple of weeks, Howard come to me and said, "Listen, son," he said, "I know I've paid a lot of money for you, and I knew you were good." He said, "But I didn't know you were that good."
Right.
He said, "Just get yourself properly fit." He said, "The left-hand side of the pitch is yours. Just get the ball, take people on, get yourself back in the England team." He said, "Go and enjoy your football." He said, "It's such a pleasure to have you here." So I was like, "Oh my God, I've landed in heaven." And then about a week later, he gets the sack, and George Graham comes in and changes the whole dynamic ethos, mentality of the whole club and playing structure. It was just a total change.
And why did Howard get the sack? What was the reason for it?
Well, mainly because of the season before, getting beaten and struggling the season before. But the nail in the coffin was Man United beating 4 at Ellen Road.
Right.
So Man United come and give us a good stuffing, and then he got sacked straight after the game.
Right. And so obviously the time at Leeds then is rocky, and then you do venture. Is it you go abroad after that?
Yeah. Well, the first season was obviously very defensive under George Graham. So for an attacking midfielder, it was probably the worst sort of tactical team to play in. It was non-expansive and non-offensive. It was all defensive and very much man for man. The start of the second season, I'd done a bit of training myself before pre-season to get fit, so I could come out the blocks and have a real go at it. And then the week before the season started, I snapped my cruciate in a friendly against Forest. So I was out for a year. And then the next season I came back and George hardly played me. So that's when I went out on loan to Sampdoria.
Yeah.
With David Platt as manager, funnily enough. But he got the sack after a month again.
Sharpe. There's a bit of a theme there, isn't there?
Very much of a theme. It happened a few times to me, to be fair. And the old manager came back and they'd sacked before Platty.
Right.
And he just said, "I've got all my old players, I don't know you, so I'm not really going to play you." So I came back pretty sharpish. I had 3 months there. Came back to Bradford.
Yeah.
While they were chasing promotion, they got promotion to the Premier League.
Who was the man? Who was it? Jewell?
Paul Jewell.
Yeah.
So signed for Bradford in the Premier League.
Which was a good time then, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a great time. We had a good time. We had some good players, good squad of players. Benito Carboni, Dan Petrescu, Dean Saunders, Stan Collymore, David Hopkin. We had a real Jamie Lawrence. We had a real good squad of players there. It was a real tight knit of players.
Yeah. And of course, you look at your career overall. I mean, your time at United, obviously, they're probably the best memories because you were winning stuff and everything else. But who would you say were the sort of characters that you played with across Lee Sharpe's career? Not just United. I mean, you've mentioned sort of Dean Saunders and people like that who we know are characters now, never mind back then. But who were the characters that you played with, and that, were real strong fellas in the changing room?
Oh, you can name so many at United. It was such an aggressive, charactered place. Roy Keane, Brian Robson, Steve Bruce, Pally, Schmeichel, Sparky, Eric, Chocky. You run through the team there. They're all strong characters. Then at Leeds again, Nigel Martin, Gary Kelly was probably the biggest character. Crazy, funny, mentalist. My roommate for away games. So there was never a dull away trip when Kells and Kels were there. But also there, we also had David Weatherall, Robert Molinar, Lucas Radibi, Carlton Palmer.
Wow,
Young
that is a list.
Mark Ford, who was a tough tackling little midfielder. Lee Bowyer, obviously aggressive. We had Mark Aitley came in, Tony Yeboah, Brian Dean, Rod Wallace.
That's a list and a half.
Ian Rush, yeah, it was. So there, and David Hopkin came in under George Graham as well. We're going to Hallow, who was aggressive. And then at Bradford, Peter Atherton, David Weatherall came across, Stuart McCall, David Hopkin came across from Leeds.
Yeah.
Ashley Ward, Dean Saunders, Stan Collymore, Jamie Lawrence, who of course got his chance in football through prison football.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had some unbelievable characters in every club I've been at.
You talk about some of your teammates. I believe was it more with England that you shared a room with Pally?
Yeah, Pally was more England.
Were you his bit of a golfer? Was it,
Yeah, well, that's the thing. When you're in football, there's a hierarchy. The young lads always have to do the
pecking order.
They always have to do the yeah. So for Pally was a bit of a sloth, Pally, isn't he? Bless him, I love him to bits.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'd come in from training. I'd pick his sweaty kit up and put it in the corridor for the kit man.
Is this for England or for you?
For England.
Oh, right, yeah.
I think who did he share with? I think I shared a few times with Pally.
Maisie as well at United.
Yeah, I went through a few. I mean, at United I was Dion Dublin. I was Bex a little bit. I was Pally a little bit. I had a few roommates. Maisie. Yeah. I had a few good characters. Yeah. At United. But yeah, Pally threw his sweaty kit outside, make him a cup of tea, shine his shoes for the game, run him a bath, turn his blanket down, put a little chocolate on his pillow. He'd have a roasting hot bath for an hour. I'd get freezing cold shower, come back out, there's Pally on top of the bed, stark bollock naked, remote control in one hand, box of Maltesers on his chest, with his other hand fondling his private parts, and have a Malteser. Oh, Jesus Christ, Pally. Fishing his tackle again. I'm a Malteser. Then I go like that. Do you want one? Oh, no, thank you very much. Thank you, Maltesers where the sun don't shine.
There's only one Pally.
Oh, he's a great lad. Yeah, it's Pally, Maisie, Keeney. Yeah, they're all the lads I've sort of always knocked around with.
They certainly are. Sharpe, you played with a few clubs. Tell us about a few of the managers and the characters. Obviously, Sir Alex, but the other clubs that you played for and England as well.
Yeah, it's there's been, I suppose I've had quite an eclectic mix of managers really.
All different in their own way.
Yeah, I mean starting with Sir Knowles at Torquay. Sir Knowles was really aggressive, but an unbelievable player. I'm not sure what age he would have been when he was manager at Torquay. I'm guessing it would have been early 40s. Was still the best player in training. Could still take a free kick better than anybody at the club. He had an unbelievable left foot, super strong, aggressive. A lot of the players didn't like him because he was so aggressive towards them. Whereas for me, I was a kid who was just like, when I played it, I'd get the ball to Sharpe and get in the box because he'll get a crossing, which was like ideal for me, really. And at Torquay, we used to train on the pitch when it was wet. They used to walk to the pitch, train on it. So there's a big diamond in the pitch like this that was like all caked in mud.
Yeah. And
just the wings were all right and grasses. So I was always get out to me on the grassy bit.
Off you go.
And then I just run up and down the line, yeah. So Cyril was unbelievable for me. Sir Alex was again really aggressive and a workaholic. I think probably a bit of a stato in his own way. I think stats were really coming into it when we were at the club. He knew everything about every player you would ever play against. Excuse me. And he was one that sort of said, you have to take chances in the final third. You have to take chances to win football matches. Mm-hmm. But you take the chances in the right area in the final third, and every game we have to go and win every game. And he would, we would play a game on a Tuesday night in London. We would come back. He would go home. He would watch a video of that game Tuesday night when we got back at 1, 2 in the morning. We'd be in his office at 7 o'clock next morning watching it again. So by the time we get to training the next day, he's seen it live once, recorded twice. Wow. He knows how many chances they've created from set pieces, from open play, how many chances we've created from set piece and open play. he was a real in-depth. I don't think he was ever in the house. He watched the youth team, the reserves. He knew all the youth team and reserves players' parents' names. He knew schoolboys' parents' names. He knew schoolboys' names. He watched schoolboy games. He just ran the whole club. And then you go to sort of Leeds, where you had George Graham, who didn't really know the schoolboys, who was very defence-minded, very man-for-man defensively. Never did any work. Obviously a bit of shooting practice, but no real set plays or no real anything about going forward. It was all defence. David O'Leary I didn't work under too much, but didn't really have to do a lot because George had already implemented the defensive sort of structure. Paul Jaw was a different sort of manager, but a good manager. I thought he was really good for the lads, and the sort of position we were in. We were obviously a relegation battle every year, so we needed a different sort of approach. And then I had Graham Ricks for a little spell at Portsmouth, who I absolutely loved. He was the first manager. Graham Ricks played me centre midfield at Portsmouth through the Championship. Again, relegation battle. Played me centre midfield and brought me off with 20 minutes to go at Huddersfield one Saturday afternoon. And I'm on the golf course on the Sunday and I get a phone call. Hey, Sharpe, it's the manager. I said, all right, Gaffer, what are you calling me for? He said, I'm just in a rerun of the game. He said, I just want to apologise for bringing you off yesterday. I was like, well, you're well within your rights. I wasn't having a great game. He's like, no, my instructions to you were get the ball off the back four and carry it and deliver it to the front two. He said, I know you didn't have your best of games. You gave the ball away a few times. He said, but you didn't stop keep trying doing what I've asked you to do. He says, I just want to apologise. Enjoy your Sunday. You'll be playing on Wednesday. I put the phone down. I was with my mate. I was like, I can't believe I've just had that phone call. I've never had a phone call out in my life. I would now run through brick walls for this man. So it was an amazing.
It's amazing turning point.
Yeah. But he was good. Train was great with Graham. He was a lot more light-hearted character.
England managers.
England manager Graham Taylor I played under, who I really liked as a young lad, was fantastic for me. I don't think some of the older players, the senior players, really liked him. I could sense the conflict and sort of agitation in the dressing room around him and around team talks and training. But for me, I was a 19-year-old kid in the England squad, so I absolutely loved him. He was great for me. He picked me. He tried to help me, so I loved him to bits. I thought the press were way too harsh over him. But I thought he was a great bloke.
When we look at your career, your colourful career, Sharpe, reality TV, you moved on to that.
Again, that was accidental. I had an agent at the time that wasn't really in football. They were looking more after Olympic athletes, and I think they'd got a couple of TV shows, and there was a TV show called Celebrity Wrestling, and I'd been sat at home twiddling my thumbs doing nothing, and they said, this guy's doing celebrity wrestling. He's broke his finger in training, so he can't compete. They're looking for a substitution late in the day. You've got to be down there tomorrow. I was like, oh, Jesus, that is like late in the day. So I go down there and end up wrestling this 6'4" gay guy that's an interior designer who was stacked. Like, he must have been like an 8% body fat, 7% body fat, like properly stacked. And I'm wrestling in a boxing ring with two metal rings either corner. We're wrestling over a medicine ball, and you've got to put the medicine ball in the opponent's corner.
Is there any footage of this?
Well, it was on TV. Right. Well, this was in training, so maybe not. And I'm wrestling, and I've got this, and I got to yank it off him. And as I yank it off him, he keeps hold of it, but his feet come off the floor. And at the time, and then I fought, and I land on my back, and he lands on top of me, on top of the medicine ball, and I just hear like two ribs have just popped, and I can't breathe. I'm like now on all fours like that. I can't breathe. They're like, why? He's going to be all right. I'm like, no, I think I've broke a rib or something. They think I'm messing about. So they're reluctant to take me to hospital. They take me to hospital and have an X-ray, and my two ribs are sort of like that, overlapping each other. They're like, oh yeah, you broke a couple of wrists. I was like, yeah, I didn't tell you I was struggling. So that was the end of the wrestling career. That's the end of the wrestling career. But I ended up being on the team and sort of on the show, and So at the end of it, they come to me and said, listen, you've broke 2 ribs, you've not moaned, you've not complained, you've got on with your team, you've been a great addition to the set. How'd you fancy the Love Island? 5 weeks in Fiji, 6 boys, 6 girls, just go and have a bit of a holiday. I was like, well, that sounds a bit more like it. Rest and recuperation. Thank you very much. So I did 5 weeks in Fiji, where I met the lovely and wonderful Abby Titmus.
Yeah.
I went out with Abby for a few months after the show, which was, well, to say it was eventful would be an understatement, but Abby was lovely. She's funny.
What's she doing now?
I think she's moved to America.
Right.
She was always wanted to be an actress. I think she's gone to America, Hollywood.
Yeah.
I believe she's married with a kid now. I'm not sure. But she was a bit bonkers.
Yeah.
That didn't last too long. And then I did Dance on Ice, which was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Hated ice skating. Kieran Bracken, the rugby player, actually won the show that I was on.
Yeah. And you come.
Anton Dick, I think I come 4th or 5th. There's about 12 couples, I think. We came 4th or 5th, so we did all right.
Yeah.
Did all right.
Looks like hard work, though, all that.
So I thought it was going to be easy, nice and slow and graceful. And they give me this, well, she's now married to David Seaman, Frankie.
Oh, yeah.
She's like 6.5 stone, half English, half Thai.
Yeah.
And in ice skating, I didn't realise, there's one of 2 you can have as a dancing partner. There's one that's more of a dancer, that's got good feet and jumps, and there's another one that you lift and throw around. Well, she's like, you lift and throw around. So I had on one arm, like lifting her up by her backside. I had her spinning around my neck. I had her throwing around. I was like mental. Horrible. Hated ice skating, but she was great. We did all right in it. And then I went on to like Anton Deck Saturday Night Takeaway, where I was in a team where we went like bobsleighing. We did a cappella barbershop singing. We did, me, Chico and Deck did a dance with like canes and top hats and singing and dancing. It was, that's probably one of the funniest shows I've ever done. It was really good to do that show. But I sort of done reality for, I don't know, a couple of years, and always felt a bit of an imposter.
Right. It's a different world.
Yeah, different world. So I sort of got out of it and never really looked back.
Have you never fancied the punditry? Have you done much of that?
I did little bits of punditry. I still do a bit of punditry, but again, a bit of imposter syndrome, because some weeks I can sit in the house and I can watch 4 or 5 games over a weekend.
Yeah.
And then other times I can go a fortnight or 3 weeks without even watching a game.
Yeah.
So to then having to go on TV and give my expert analysis just seems a little bit of a cop-out. So it's really not for me.
So Sharpe, it's been great speaking to you, but obviously recently we lost one of the greatest footballers ever, Sir Bobby Charlton. What were your memories of Sir Bobby, and did you meet him many times when you were at Man United?
Yeah, we saw him a lot. He was in the dressing room, I would guess, nearly every home game, with a few of the other directors that would walk around and shake everybody's hand and wish us all the best before games. He's definitely been in the dressing room at certain away games, not all of them, but quite a number. And then I was lucky enough to spend a week with him in America when Europe played America in the Ryder Cup in Medina. Wow. The magical comeback for the Europeans, and him and Lady Norma were there. Myself, Dennis Irwin, and Andy Cole with I think we were with Aon. I think. Yeah. So just got to not necessarily get like words of wisdom or some big Churchillian speech. It was more just knocking around with him and having a bit of a giggle about certain things and chatting about the golf and just about general life. And he was just a lovely bloke to be around.
Greatest player ever for England and Man United, possibly? Well,
I just think... I think you can't rule him out for being one of the best, can you, for England? Of all-time England greats. I think to go through what he's been through and achieve what he's achieved. One of my heroes for what he's been through is David Beckham, because of what he went through after getting sent off in the World Cup and then coming back to score the free kick against Greece. And I think, when you look at Sir Bobby, to go through a plane crash, to lose half his mates and half the team, to come back and to have that level of terror and destruction in your life, and then to also, on the other hand, to have to be part of a championship winning team and a World Cup winning team, you know, are the two ultra highs and ultra lows, and the character of the man and the level headedness of him and the humbleness of him to be around him, I think is a credit to him. He was a lovely bloke to be around. He was never once would he put on people or overpower people. Yeah, he was always pleasant and charming. Yeah, just a pure gentleman.
Sir Bobby Charlton.
Sir Bobby Charlton. Hope he's resting in peace.
Lee Sharpe, it's been an absolute pleasure. We could speak for ages, but thanks for all the stories and the memories, mate.
No
and
problem.
again, thank you for joining us on behalf of Superstar Speakers. This has been the Man United Legends on Tour. Remember to tune in to the Man United Legends podcast on a weekly basis. Click the link below and subscribe to our channel.